Trail. Has anyone hiked the Blackcomb Trail? Yeah, only the Condor Trail hikers. It sucks. Oh my god. One of the most overgrown trails I've ever hiked. But this is the end, Boscher's Gap. My finish line. I was going to make it on the 22nd unless something went horribly wrong. And I was looking forward to getting out of there and getting back to civilization. Nice views, good sunset, everything was feeling good, or sorry, sunrise, everything was feeling good that day. Climb up to, this is on the Gamboa Trail, looking back down, and it was really good through this point. It's kind of bad a little bit forward, but pretty good. And then like just all of a sudden, just boom. And like the off-trail part sucks, but it's soft brush. It had all burned like over, so there was really not a lot of deadfall left. But this is what happens when you have like hardened fire, burnt scrub that has fallen, and then the new growth has come up. And it's a lot harder to get through. You have to crawl. You have to take your pack off. You have to maybe go off trail way around it. Did a lot of screaming through here. So some sections you go 200 feet in like 40 minutes. Like it was pretty bad. It was not a lot of fun. I've hiked this before going, and it was like awesome. And I was like, it's not gonna be that bad. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Turns people around. And then this was actually the only consequential spot of the whole hike was this snow patch, because I guess it had snowed on Cone Peak and that rained the day before. And it was really, really steep and really, really icy. And there was nothing to stop you below. And it was, like the slope was really steep. And so it took me like, I don't know, 30 minutes to go like 200 feet across it, because it took me so long to chop each step into the snow and then walk. And then I tried a little while, and I was like, oh, do I not have to chop? Oh, no, slip that one. You have to chop all your steps. So it's slow going. But you finally make it around Cone Peak and get some epic views. Looking back, Cone Peak's that one, the pointy one in the middle there. And I don't know, I might be wrong on this, but at the time, I have Peak Finder, great app if you don't have Peak Finder. It shows you the ridge line from where you're looking. And I'm looking out in the distance, I'm using Peak Finder, and it says that's Big Pine Mountain, which is the high point in Santa Barbara County, the upper Sistwa, where I was, the second section of the hike. And then for those in town, that's San Ynez Peak, it says. Is it possible? I don't know. I don't want to know. I think it was. It was exciting. And I'm happy that I thought that was San Ynez Peak. And after this, you follow the road and you're starting to get into the northern Montana, which is a little more rugged in places and then really good in places. Like you have the Pine Ridge Trail, which is like the most used trail in the forest, and then you have the Blackcomb Trail, which is the least used trail in the forest. Nice sunset, walking the road. It's called the North Coast Ridge Trail at this point. It was a road that's been turned to wilderness, and so it's still pretty easy to walk, well maintained. Getting up that next morning, heading towards Montana Double Cone, and finally leaving the ocean to drop back down into the forest. Just hiking the Blackcomb Trail. That's the start of the Blackcomb Trail. Would you hike that trail if it looks like that? That's an old sign. That's the trail. It's right next to it. And I heard, and my intel said the first quarter to half mile was the worst part. So if I get to the first quarter and half mile, it would be good. I thought it was fine, the first quarter and half mile. It's poison oak, whatever. We used poison oak, love that stuff. And after I finished that half mile is where it got really, really bad. You get to, it burned twice over, burned in 1999, burned again in Sobranes in 2016. And there's been no work done on it, so you get all of the brush just grows back in the trail, and it's a very, very steep slope. So you're looking at the trail and just walking on that ridge that way. And that's up close. That's what it looks like. And this was, for me, the worst part of the whole hike. Just totally unforgiving, crawling, pushing through way denser brush than any of the off-trail sections. And there's no water. It's 8 miles long. There's no water up there. You're going like a half mile an hour, 1 mile an hour when you're very, very lucky. And it was pretty brutal, but I could taste the finish line. Push through. Would I do it again? I would probably skip this section. But later in the day when I was like, I'm ready to sleep in the bushes, done it before, I'm not going to make it. If it gets cold and you're in the bushes, pro tip, just crawl in the bush. It's a lot warmer. Don't have a tent, but you'll be fine. And I was ready to do that without any water and sleep in the bushes. And then I get to that last mile of the trail, someone had worked.
Wow.
and I just like sprinted it. I was so happy. I did, like a plug for trail work, like wow. And I made it out, no problem, and cruised on down to Pine Valley Camp, which would be my last camp for the night, or the last camp for the trail. And like got in at dark, sat in the creek there, which is very, very cold, but it felt good. Just like laid in the creek, scared this very, very crowded camp, your first time on the whole trail where there's like a lot of people go there, so I scared all those people when I was just laying in the creek and camped in the middle of the night. I looked pretty, I looked grim. I would not have talked to me. But I pulled up to the upper meadow, no one was there, and I looked out in the meadow and thought I saw like a bunch of foxes, but those are actually deer. There's like 12 deer. The meadow's just so big that they looked tiny to me in the low light. And realized that after not losing anything the whole hike on the Blackcomb Trail, I lost my LPFA patch on my backpack. It's been there since 2019. And I lost the bottom of one of my trekking poles because you're like holding onto them and crawling. And it must have just like unclasped and just gotten dragged down at some point, which I need to set up for my tent, which is a little bit of a bummer. But one night left, no problem. Nice and frosty overnight. Got up early the next morning, so I would have no questions that I would be finishing that day. And then this next section is this thing called the Portosuelo Trail, which everyone has said is very, very bad for a very long time, and I'll let you know it is no longer very, very bad. It is very, very good. And someone has worked all of it. It's like turned people away. They've turned back instantly starting from the northern terminus, or they decided just not to hike through it, just like bramble, poison oak, just sucked. And I have no photos of it because I walked up it in like an hour and a half. And cruised, and you follow this ridge line and start to see signs for Botcher's Gap, which is my terminus. And started to look back at the hike that far, and was getting pretty excited to see the finish line and happy with what I had done, and luckily found this fire break at the end. And followed that all the way down to the finish line at Botcher's Gap. And it felt good to finish. It's a little weird because no one's there. It's been closed since Sobranes. So it's just an empty lot with a rundown campground. Roads closed. But it felt good. Sent my final check-in message on my Garmin. Done with that. And took some photos of myself to show you just how bad that Blackcomb Trail was. My clothes were clean the day before. I did laundry the day before. It's got this wardleaf ceanothus that's got like a sap in the leaves, like this resin. Trash bag all over again. Just, yeah. Like, I'm happy, but that's what you look like. Happy to be done, happy to get into town. Got picked up by some friends at VWA at the end of the road and was home the next day, which is a bit of a whirlwind. You just take the train home. Nice train ride, but weird to do that after all of that. I just want to talk just a quick bit about the gear that I was using.